to another episode of the Speak Up Sports Podcast with Cass, Chris, and Sean. What's going on, fellas?
What's good, y'all?
What's up? Good to see y'all.
See y'all, man. Another week closer to the NFL season, obviously. We're on week 3 of the preseason. Most games will be played tomorrow with, a couple coming Friday and over the weekend. Not a whole lot of news, but over the past week since we last met. But the biggest news being former All-Pro Safety Justin Simmons coming down to Atlanta and joining the Atlanta Falcons. Once again, we start off with another Falcons transaction. So just like last week, Cass, what's up? Speak up on your team.
Of course, we knew a couple of days before that it was going to that. It was probably going to lean this way with Justin going to Atlanta. Of course, there are questions about the fit. What's their plan there? Just from Raheem's interviews and other people talking with Raheem and our DC Jimmy Lake, they like the interchangeability between him and Jesse, and they plan on doing a lot of disguise coverages. So it makes sense on that front. I'm excited to see it happen. 1 year, $8 million contract. We just got to go all in this year and see what we can do, see what kind of year he has, to see if he can get back on the market next year and get something, probably his last, good contract. But the safety, we already talked about that earlier with the safety kind of market being in shambles right now a little bit. So, but I'm glad he's on our team, man. It's in the span of 24 hours, the defense got a lot more formidable, and I'm happy about it for sure.
Absolutely. Picking up a all-pro safety in August, you can't beat that.
Mm-hmm.
A couple weeks before the season. And then I'll be remiss not to also mention Stephon Gilmore, former Defensive Player of the Year, also going and signing with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not sure that anybody, truly expected that, but it's also, what were really his options. I think it's funny because, we were talking the other day and one of our friends was saying, everybody say they want to go win because he's a Chiefs fan. He's like, everybody say they want to win until you start seeing where they sign, and it's like, did you what's the options, or did you really want to win, or did you really just want a paycheck? But I think both signings kind of give us a good segue, and it's kind of perfect setup for us with getting into our NFC preview this week. Obviously, we went over the AFC, and then next week we'll go into some of our playoffs and award predictions. But this kind of hits home for the two of y'all because both of y'all's teams reside in the NFC. So I'm excited to hear, where things are at. So go ahead, Chris. Let's get it kicked off.
All right. So we're going to start off with, I'm just going to go ahead and start off with my division, NFC East.
All right.
I clearly got the Eagles first. I got the Cowboys second. I have the Commanders third, and I have the Giants coming in last.
Why you got shaking out like that?
Honestly, I haven't seen enough from the Giants. I think they're going to have a bad year. I like what the Commanders have done. I like, just the acquisition of the few players that they do have. Dan Quinn coming in as a coach. I know he might have some playoff struggles as a head coach, but he was proven to be a good head coach when he coached for the Falcons. So I think he's going to do a lot of good there. And as far as, obviously, the Cowboys and the Eagles, CD still ain't in camp, man. I'm really interested to see what the hell gonna go on with that, because if they have another situation where they allow them to go to a season like they did with Zeke, it's gonna be a big problem for Dallas. But and I like the acquisition that we picked up on the Eagles front, so I think that's how it's gonna shake out.
All right, fair enough. For me, I got the same as that order. As Chris, I got the Eagles finishing first, Cowboys second. Commanders third, Giants last. I think the Giants are I think they're going to be a bit of a train wreck this year. Hopefully I'm wrong, but for their sake. But I don't have high hopes for Daniel Jones. Like you said, Chris, I did like what the Commanders did this offseason. I like what they did in the draft too. They're going to need some time, of course, to kind of get rolling. But we saw the news that Jaden Daniels is going to be the starting quarterback, which wasn't really a question because their backup is Marcus Mariota, which we know. Yeah. So I'm excited just to see him develop. He had the time to do it. There's no really big expectations there. Cowboys second. we'll just have to see. Of course, we talked about it too, with everybody pretty much on 1-year contracts. I think that's a lot of pressure. I don't know how they're going to kind of take that, do this season. They did come off of 3 straight, 12-win seasons. But I think this might be the season where that shit kind of falls a little bit, and they find themselves fighting for playoffs. And then I got the Eagles at the top.
So I actually have the same order as well. Actually, no, I do have the Giants and the Commanders flipped at the bottom. But I do. I don't think that it's going to be a big difference between their records. I do think that the Giants will be a little bit better than people expect, but mostly because of their defense and their D-line, especially. And I don't think that Daniel Jones will be as bad as people think. I know the last thing that we saw is this man throw 2 picks in the first quarter in a preseason game. But, just like we give everybody else benefit of the doubt, it is just preseason. That is, you're not really scheming up against folks, even though it was against starters, but sometimes you're playing against backups and stuff like that. But I do actually really like their receiving core. I mean, I think it's a young receiving core, but I think they really kind of have a complete one with Wando Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, and then obviously Malik Neighbors kind of being that superstar number one that they were looking for. And then with Washington, I do like I wasn't the biggest fan of Jaden Daniels, so there's a lot to be seen there. So there's a little bit of bias on that end. I also don't really like Cliff Kingsbury and him being their offensive coordinator. Mixed with the Jaden Daniels thing is really kind of where I have a little bit of hesitation there. As far as the Cowboys, I mean, I don't think this is just the Cowboys. I feel like there's a lot of the talk in the national media is that the AFC is so tough and the AFC is so deep. I mean, as we talked about when we talked about our quarterbacks, there's a lot of the top guys in the AFC as well. But I do think that, there's not enough talk about the NFC teams that could kind of implode. And I think the Cowboys are the prime candidate for that, where like you said, they basically everybody's on a 1-year contract, and until Dak and CD, and really, I mean, I don't want to say Micah, but Dak and CD sign, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're on a 1-year contract as well. Because, I mean, It doesn't seem like things – I mean, it seems like things might be going all right for Dak, but it don't seem like things are going too well with CD, even though, it's negotiations, so, we might be overhyping it a little bit, but – and then the Eagles as well. I mean, the Eagles, I don't think it's not outside the realm for things to implode there as well, even though I think that I really like the acquisitions that they've had, as Chris mentioned, with Saquon and then getting some of the guys in the D-line. I mean, in the defensive backfield, but especially bringing over Vic Fangio, bringing him back, I think that will be huge, and just getting a clean slate for all of the coordinator issues that they had. But, I mean, we saw the article. I mean, it could definitely implode with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni at any point as well. So the NFC is going to be a sight to watch, because there could be, last year it was more of a talk about the quarterbacks and stuff like that. Is not as many good quarterbacks, but there could be an influx, with this next draft. Who knows if the quarterbacks will be good or not, but we'll see. But I'm rocking with the Eagles at the top as well. And we'll see what it looks like for playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
Next week.
All right.
Next division, I'm gonna go to yours, Cass. We're gonna go with the NFC South. At the top, man, I actually flip flop because I got 2 teams at the top, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Falcons. I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and take the division. Then I got the Bucks coming in second. I actually have the Saints coming in third and the Panthers coming in last. I think the Panthers are definitely going to be better than they were last year. I think Bryce is going to take another step. That was his first year. Team was around him wasn't that good, but I think he's going to take another step this year. But they're still maybe a year or 2 away from actually being contending. Saints, I mean, they got Derek Carr, man. I don't even know what to say about that, man. I don't know what to say, but I mean, they just seem to always be in most of the games they do play, so I'm gonna give them that benefit of doubt. And as far as the Falcons and the Bucks, I mean, with the 2 acquisitions that y'all did get, that's what springboarded y'all ahead of them for me. The Bucks is, I mean, Baker Mayfield. I mean, he proved me wrong. I didn't think he was gonna be that good. I mean, he did pretty decent last year. You still got Mike Evans, who's a very, very underrated receiver. Don't get a lot of love, but he's very good. And then Todd Bowles always going to have that defense come to play. So I expect them to be in it at the end. And again, like I just said, I gave y'all a nod with your 2 acquisitions. I do love that y'all got Matthew Judon and Justin Simmons. I think that's going to bolster a weak spot in your defense. Didn't really believe in your defense to begin with, but that kind of bolstered that up. And only time will tell. I mean, Kirk Cousins, he does what he does. I'm interested to see how he meshes with your offense. So that's leave it at that.
All right. Fair enough. Fair points. Fair points. I got the same exact order again. Falcons at the top. Bucks finishing second. Saints third. Panthers last. Like you said, I'm expecting the Panthers to have a better record than more than 2 wins. Maybe they jump up to 4 or 5. Maybe get a couple of division wins in there. But I'm really interested to see how Bryce Young does in his second season. Of course, last season wasn't the best showcase for a number 1 overall pick. Of course, they beefed up the O-line this summer. Hopefully, it was right decisions because they did pay a lot of money to probably, and we'll see if they worth that or not. But Saints third. I was honestly close to putting them last. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just a lot of question marks. There's a lot of question marks on their offensive line. It's a lot of question marks, of course, with Derek Carr. I saw an interview today where Tyrann Mathieu was like, "Oh, Derek Carr still has his best football ahead of him." I'm like, I just don't understand why you come out and say these things. It's like it just doesn't make sense at all. I think Saints have some big questions after this season. But I'm still having them third for now. Bucks, we'll see if Baker has another Pro Bowl caliber year. Last year was great for him. He was able to get his paycheck. But they have a new offensive coordinator coming in. We'll see how the offense kind of stays the same or kind of shifts a little bit. But with the Falcons, man, I had them first before these moves, of course, because but but it really did kind of solidify. Like it would be a disappointing season to me, to most Falcons fans, if you do not win this division. In my eyes, especially with the favorable schedule that you have, like pretty much all your hardest games are in the first 5 or 6. And if you come out of that kind of even at least, I don't see how you can lose this division unless you just fall off a cliff, kind of like the Eagles did last year. But yeah, that's how I got it.
Okay. So this division, this was the toughest division probably for all of them. But I think this is the first division for me that I'm going to have a team go from worst to first. I think that the Panthers will win the division this year. Dave Canales coming over there, I think is going to be huge.
Are you trolling or are you dead ass?
I'm dead serious. I think the Panthers are going to win the division. I've got at number 2, I have the Bucks. I really flip-flop. I'm not trolling at all. I'm being dead the fuck serious. I got the Bucks at number 2. I think there's been a lot of – the only reason I didn't have the Bucks number 1 is because I'm really nervous about Todd Bowles in terms of him as a coach. But, I mean, for a team that almost made the NFC Championship, I feel like a lot of people – and this probably a little bit has more to do with people not really caring about the NFC South that much. But I think a lot of people have kind of been down on the Bucks for a team to win the division, 4 straight years, 3, 4 straight years. Obviously, they went to the Super Bowl, and obviously that was with Tom Brady. Baker came over, was able to get them to the playoffs, and then they were on the cusp of the NFC Championship. I think they deserve a little bit more respect. At 3, I got the Falcons. This was tough because, I mean, like you guys said, I like the players that the Falcons have gotten, but everything that comes behind it makes me question what's really going on. And this is a team that it kind of seems like there's been a lot of talk about the Terry and Raheem relationship. It kind of seems like there's a little bit of a power battle there because you go and get Kirk Cousins and then you go and get Michael Penix. Obviously, it's nothing wrong with that. People have made a lot of speculation, but if you believe in a quarterback, you go get him. But then you trade a 3rd-round pick for a 32-year-old pass rusher, and now you're saying you're not going to sign him. Seems like kind of Cass said at the beginning, it's like an all-in effort where this is not an all-in team. So it's kind of like weird for me. And then with the Justin Simmons thing, the fit, I mean, who cares? At the end of the day, he's an all-pro, and he's smart. He's going to figure it out. Jesse Bates is going to figure it out as well. but it just doesn't seem like everything is aligned the way that it should be, and it doesn't seem like the moves are there to make sense. With the Saints as well, I think they're going to be a team that, like I said, I think they're going to finish. They're kind of like the Falcons, where they seem like they're kind of battling between wanting to stay Super Bowl relevant and wanting to rebuild. And I think that they're going to have to be forced into a rebuild this year. And I think both teams will end up being prime candidates for trades week 8.
You got
Speak up, Kaz. I need that. I need a response.
You got the Panthers finishing like what? All right. You mentioned Dave Canales, but what is your reasoning for that? Sorry.
Dave Canales, I think the offense has gotten a lot better. Number one. Number two, there's always going to be a team that's going to go from worst to first, and that happens every year. This is the division that has been the worst. So, it's not outlandish to be like, this team could go. What did the Bucs win? 8 games last year? 9 games?
9.
I think that an improvement at quarterback and the weapons have improved. Obviously, you go get Xavier Legette. You obviously bring in Deontay Johnson at the receiver position. The receiver position's solidified now. You got Jonathan Brooks coming back from his injury, but you would hope he was the consensus best running back in the draft. So you would think that he would also help with the improvement. Like you said, with the offensive line, I think the defense will obviously continue to improve. They weren't a bad defense last year. It was just
they were actually a good defense last year.
And I think the defense will continue to improve, especially with, finally getting past the Brian Burns. I think they brought in some veteran additions there as well to kind of help them out. But, yeah, I'm 100% set on the Panthers.
How many wins?
Probably like 9. This isn't going to be a division that's going to have a 10-win team out of it. No chance.
That's
Y'all say that's tough, but
all right.
Last year the division winner was 8 wins, 9 wins. The year before the division winner was 7 wins. I like the addition. Like I said, I like the additions that the Falcons have, but
I'm not even arguing with you about the Falcons.
If we're saying that they're a 10, if we're going to say they're a 10-win team, I don't know if Kirk Cousins is not a 3-game improvement. In my opinion.
But you're saying that Dave Canales and the pieces that they made are a 7-win improvement?
Yeah, because it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to win 2 games in an NFL season. So off rip, you're gonna have positive improvement. It's almost impossible because there's not many teams that win 2 games. There's not many teams that win 1. We see a lot of teams that win 4, 5, 6. That's typically your 1 seed, your 2 seed. So your number 1 draft pick, your number 2 draft pick are like 4 or 5 wins. So off rip, they're not going to be a 2-win team in a 17-game season.
I get that, but to jump from 2 to 9. All right.
I think improvement from the number 1 overall draft pick. That was I know we like to have revisionist history, and there's like it's CJ, and CJ was great. Bryce Young was the consensus number 1 draft pick for a reason. He was the best player in college football for the past 2 years prior to this for a reason. He was a Heisman Trophy winner for a reason. I think last year was just an entirely clusterfuck. I think we saw the same thing with the Colts. The Colts last year didn't make too many improvements. And their quarterback got hurt, and they went from a 4-win team to a 9-win team. Just with the addition of a new coach, an offensive coach, and the subtraction of a clusterfuck with Jeff Saturday and Frank Reich, the same thing. And when you have stuff going on in the locker room that's not ideal, that can change everything. I think getting a new GM, new coach, trust in Bryce.
Hey, Chris, you got anything to add to that, or we can move on?
That's tough. I get what I do get what you're saying. I just maybe 3rd or 2nd.
Like I said, it seems it comes because it does. I don't think a lot of people care about the NFC South, so it's really it's a shock to hear. Oh, the Panthers. Oh no, nobody cares about the NFC South, so it's like it's a shock to hear. But I'd be willing to bet that by midseason we're going to be like, probably.
Yeah, stamp that. Ooh.
I think the Falcons and the Saints are going to be prime candidates for trades middle of the season, especially with the Falcons trying to recoup that 3rd round pick. I think that's one of the things that to me the most is like, nah, there's something not right there. You draft a quarterback and you give up a 3rd round pick before you even start the season. Something going on right here. So that's where I'm at.
All right, we'll see how wrong you are. Go ahead.
I hit it on the head last year, so I think I'm gonna get it again.
This a little different, but go ahead.
Is it?
Yes.
All right, so next division we're gonna tackle is the NFC West. And my current order is I have the 49ers first, I have the Rams second, I have the Cardinals third, and I have Seahawks coming in fourth. San Francisco, I mean, they got. I mean, even with the whole, back and forth with Brandon Ayuk, they do have a system in place. You still got Kittle, you still got McCaffrey, you still got Debo, and then you still got an elite defense. So they still gonna be at the top of. They're still the cream of the crop, probably the best team, one of the best teams, if not the best teams in the NFC. So I got them at first. The Rams, I mean, they pretty much shocked me last year, honestly. I mean, they came out, the emergence of Puka Nacua, and then that was with Cooper Kupp being out for the first 4 or 5 games. They played a hell of a playoff game against Jared Goff and the Lions, so I expect them to continue their upward trajectory on their offense, and their defense was pretty solid last year. And then I said the Cardinals third because again that was actually another shocker of a team. Every game that they played last year, they pretty much was in it without their starting quarterback and Kyler Murray. I know y'all had him high on y'all top quarterback list, but I do expect them to have a better year. I think they will just improve on what they did last year and round it off with the Seahawks. I mean, they got a whole new coaching staff. I don't really trust their offense like that. I mean, they have a few weapons, but I mean, Geno could be very up and down, skittish at times. So I'm not really sold on them. So that's why I have coming in last.
Okay, this one was tough for me. This is probably my toughest one shot. Mainly because of everything that the 49ers do have going on right now, injury wise. It's not looking good in their camp. Of course, we saw that they had to cancel even like joint practices or practices because they didn't have enough players to practice. I don't like having
here. We literally said the same thing about the 49ers last year, and then they blasted the Steelers the first game of the season.
That's probably true too. But that's what kind of made it tough. I still had the 49ers at number 1. But I wouldn't be surprised if my second place team snuck up there. But I got 49ers at 1, but it is a lot going on. They still have to figure out what Trent Williams going to do with his hold out.
Last year, they was like, Brock Purdy can't even throw in camp. First game,
that was the stuff coming out of camp for sure.
This year, they said he throw a hell of interception.
Very first game, they look like the best team from the start.
Very first game, they what was it like 30? What was it? 36
like 40-7.
40, something like that. Yeah, they beat the shit out of them. But no, I still got the 49ers first, but we'll see what that record looking like. I got Rams second, just like you, Chris. I do like the additions that they made through the draft, even in free agency too with Cam Curl. And we'll see how Trey White, see if he can contribute anything on it. I mean, if he can be 75-80% of what he was, that's still a good, I'll take it, out there on the corner. So I do like the additions that they made on defense, which was already a young defense kind of, improving. So I think the Rams can shock a lot of people, and I would not be surprised. I didn't have them at first, but I would not be surprised they end up with the best record this season. Hopefully Matt Stafford stays healthy. Of course, he missed some time in camp too. At 3, I got the Seahawks. I think it kind of shakes out that way again. I will see how Geno, Smith does this season. But again, I'm excited to see how their defense looks. Of course, with their new coach, new scheme. It should look pretty good, honestly. And we saw clips of Tariq Woolen locking up. We already know what Devon Witherspoon can do. So that secondary over there is a lot. I can't wait to see how it goes. And then Cardinals at 4, but I think that this is a competitive 4. I think I think their floor is close to like 7 and 10. I think this I think this would be a big improvement for this team. I think they could be a force still, still fighting for the playoffs, even as the 4th seed in their division. But I'm excited to see this division for sure. This is a very hard division for me to pick, but 49ers, Rams, and then Seahawks, Cardinals.
Okay. So I do think this is going to be a really good division, top to bottom. I do think this is a division that we could see. I mean, it's going to be damn near impossible, but what if we see three playoff teams come from this division? I mean, 4 playoff teams come from this division. Could always happen. But starting off my division winner, I actually went with the Rams. I think the Niners are a little too noisy right now. Just a lot going on. I do think that they'll still be good. I mean, like I said, we said the same shit about them last year, and they went and started off like 4-0, 5-0. I think they were the last undefeated team left. So, I think Brock Purdy kind of completes. I mean, sticking with the Rams, I think that Matthew Stafford, obviously with Puka, I think everything that we've heard basically is Cooper Kupp is back to who he was before his, the hamstring injuries last year, the soft tissue injuries. So I think that him and Puka end up going crazy. Obviously, they're set at the running back position with Kyron Williams, and then there's been some good reviews about Blake Corum. We saw him in college, obviously being a good player. Like Cass said, they did pick up some good players through free agency as well as the draft with the Florida State guys, getting Cam Curl and Trey White to help solidify and bring some experience to that secondary. But I don't think this needs to go with much explaining. Number 2, the 49ers. If Brandon Ayuk comes back, I mean, that could very easily be one. If this lingers, they're probably still going to be 2. But with my third, I have the Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks were they were like a 9-8 team last year. Geno missed a couple games, and he had a positive record when he started. They had Drew Lock play a couple games. He did win one against. Sorry for taking shots to the Eagles, but when they were imploding at the end of the season, that was really the game.
Count. That was really the
game. Wait, what Drew Lock said? That shit on.
That was the game. Everybody was like, "Yo, what's going on with the Eagles? Something stink over there." But
for sure.
Like you said, we've all seen the clips of Woolen. Cass didn't put a name to it, but locking up Ridley. It was like 10 videos that came out of him getting clamped up. So I'm sorry, you got
that's not a good look.
You gotta be named. We gotta name names. But it was videos just one-on-one. So who knows how the actual joint practice went itself. But I think their defense will be much improved. They do have weapons, like you said. If they can stay healthy, and the running backs stay healthy as well. Then they got two good running backs, as well as 3 good receivers. Defense is looking solid all across the board. They drafted the D tackle from Texas, as well as bring Leonard Williams back. So I'm excited to see what they do there. And then, like Cass said, the Cardinals, they're in 4th, but it's not a sad 4th. I think the Saints will be a sad 4th. I think the Saints will be a sad 4th. I don't think they'll be a sad 4th. Obviously, what better acquisition at the receiver position than getting Marvin Harrison Jr., who everybody's been raving about for like the past 3 years. I think Michael Wilson will be good as well for them. And then Greg Dortch, it seems like they rave about him every chance they get over there in Arizona. So I think their offense will continue to be good. Obviously, they have a defensive coach, so we're expecting improvement on the defensive end. So I think the Cardinals will be good and getting a full season back with Kyler, another year removed from the ACL injury. So I think the Cardinals will be a solid team, a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah. All right.
So
let's finish it off, big bruh.
Last division, the NFC North. I have the Lions going to finish first, and I have the Packers. Then I have the Bears, and then I have the Vikings rounding it off. I actually think this is probably be the most competitive division. I think the Vikings are actually just like y'all sentiment on the Cardinals being a competitive 4. I for sure believe the Vikings will be a competitive 4. They still have weapons in there. You still got Justin Jefferson. You still have Aaron Jones. I mean, I understand, your quarterback, but at the same time, I feel like they was going to start Sam Darnold to begin with anyway. But and then I got Bears third. I'm not on the Bears train, hype train, or whatever you want to call it. I got to see it to believe in real play. I mean, not playoff, real season, actual action. Everybody has been raving about, Caleb the next best thing. They gonna be unstoppable. I don't believe it. So, yeah, that's that. And then it's between the Lions and the Packers, man. It's easy to say, the Lions might slide from, having a great year last year, but I think Dan Campbell gonna have them boys ready to play. They seem to love him. They're gonna play hard for him every time. So I think that's gonna carry over. And another step forward for Jordan Love. He's gonna have a good year this year, I believe, but I think the Lions gonna edge it out, and I think it's gonna be one of those situations where it's gonna be like between the last 2 or 3 games.
I think the Packers actually have right now what's the 4th hardest schedule in the league too. So to start, obviously that's a bunch of bullshit, but I mean it is what it is
Right.
until we actually, they actually start
see how the
playing.
teams actually are. Yeah.
But okay, we'll say you, Cass.
All right. So mine's a little different. I got Lions at 1. So I'll stick with you there, Chris. I do expect them to. I do like the continuity that they have. Of course, they were able to keep, Ben Johnson, keep the offensive system intact, which was, I don't want to say lights out last year, but they were damn good. We already know what their offensive line is like. I'm expecting a huge year from Jameson Williams. I'm expecting a huge year from him. So I can't wait to see how it kind of shakes out. But I think they win this division. I got the Bears at 2nd. And I'm picking them at 2nd mainly because of their defense. And I really believe in what they have going on defense. We saw a little bit of it at the end of last year. But they got some dogs over there. And Sweat, Johnson, even Kyler Gordon out the slot. Like, they got some dogs. I'm excited to see them put it all together. For a number 1 overall pick, of course, we talked about it in the draft. This is one of the best situations that you can go to and have around you. And I think he'll take advantage of that. I don't know how good he'll be. I don't think he's, I'm not on that kind of Caleb Williams train where I think he's just the best thing since, whatever. But I do think that with the pieces around him and what they got built, and I think he'll have a good year. I got Packers at 3rd. I think it'll be close, but I do have them at 3rd. Honestly, I haven't finished around the same as they did last year. Of course, the second half of last year, they went on a crazy, little run where Jordan was able to get more more comfortable. And I'm expecting the same kind of thing here. I think they'll be in the play. Well, we'll get to the playoffs next week, but I think this is still a good team. I'm expecting big things from them in their receiving core, the young receiving core going forward. And then the Vikings is just kind of, they're not a sad 4. is what we're calling them. It's an unfortunate. It is an unfortunate 4. But I kind of got to put in there. I do like their defense. I do like some pieces that they have on there. I want to see it all come together still. But I don't think they have a shot at getting top 3 in this division. I just don't see it this year for those guys. But yeah, that's my order.
So my order is a little different from y'all's, but to start, I got the Packers winning the division. You can argue they were obviously in contention with the Lions towards the end of the season, and they had their early season fumbles. But there's a lot of games early on that they probably should have won that they fumbled at the end. I think that this year they built the defense up a little bit more, obviously bringing Xavier McKinney over. We thought towards the end of last season that we could possibly see Jair Alexander get traded. He obviously has not to this point. And getting Bullard, my guy from Georgia, to come over as well in the draft. So I think the Packers, and then they've got 4 good, really good to really good to possibly even, a couple of them, maybe if all of them could be great receivers. I just think the offense and defense, they're going to continue to be stout. I have the Lions 2nd as well. Not as well, but I do have the Lions 2nd. think they continue to have a good season. I am interested to see how Jameson Williams does, because you did say that you think he'll have a big season. I think most people think he'll have a big season, but we also thought he was going to have a big season last year, and
That's true.
didn't necessarily go the way that we expected. And you got to start kind of asking those questions. He is in year 3 or 4? Year 3, I believe. Year 3. How many? How long before you really start to show out? Like, we haven't really seen I don't even know if we've really seen a full game where he's just snapped. Like when are we expecting that to happen? And I don't think they really have a number 3 that they like. So I imagine they're probably going to be a team to watch for cut downs on receivers or possible trades as well. I have the Bears at 3. If it wasn't for the JJ injury, I probably would have had the Bears 4th. I'm not going to lie. But I do think the Bears will be good. I do think that Caleb would have a little bit more of a learning curve than people expect. Coming off this past weekend is probably going to sound crazy to a lot of people because, all the hype's been, Caleb did all these amazing plays. But when you peel the layer back a little bit, it's like, that came on like the 6th drive when they couldn't move the ball and it was against backups. And it's like,
they went 3 and out for the first three possessions.
So I do think that there will be, and to his defense, like I just said earlier, it is the preseason. So you do have to give him the benefit of the doubt. They're trying stuff out. It's not really a full game plan. They're not watching a whole lot of film, stuff like that, or if any film, so give him the benefit of the doubt there. And then with the Vikings, I just think that a lot of stuff, it's just, a tough season. You have a death of one of your draft picks, rest in peace to him. You have your quarterback who is your future, as well as hopefully your immediate starter. He gets hurt. He's out for the season. You have issues with Jordan Addison in the offseason. Your starting tight end is also coming off an injury. It just seems like everything's more aligning to next year for them as opposed to this year. So, Sam Darnold, hopefully he gets an opportunity to kind of reinvigorate his career. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them be active on cut downs / trades in the next couple days for a quarterback. Some people have speculated Russell Wilson. Ryan Tannehill's still out there. So we'll see. Marcus Mariota.
They can come get Taylor Heineke.
Taylor Heineke probably would be a prime candidate there.
Yeah.
But who knows? Because there's been speculation maybe Kirk Cousins is not going to start the first game.
Nah, that's let's not even. No, he's fine. All right.
Maybe we'll see. But yeah, that kind of wraps it up for me in the NFC North. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting season. Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting season. I can't wait to see what the Panthers do now that y'all came crazy.
No, you can't.
I do got a question though, because we were talking about the preseason. What are you guys thought on playing your starters at least a little bit in the preseason?
I actually went back to like when this was happening, when we were talking in our group chat. I went back and looked at
the conversation last year.
It was literally our very first conversation last year, and I didn't chime in too much on it. But of course, you were of the mindset, Shad. Of course, that you need to play your guys, get some reps and how important they are. And you said the same thing too, Chris, to an extent. But I just think it's a trend that's going on, and I think it's purposeful. And I say that in that I feel like they are doing this shit on purpose to eliminate the preseason or eliminate more another game from the preseason. I feel like this shit's really purposeful, that they're not playing their guys, like select teams. Of course, on the flip side of that, when you have Andy Reid playing his starters, for 3-4 possessions, then everybody turns to that and we're like, well, they're the Super Bowl champions and they're playing there. And it's like, okay, but on the flip side of that, you still got the 49ers who ain't played nobody yet. They did play Brock Purdy, but they didn't play the rest of their starters. So it's like, I don't think it really says much, in my opinion. whether
Yeah.
you're looking at it from the Chiefs' point of view or other teams like 49ers or Eagles or something like that. So I mean, I'm kind of like I just think this shit is purposeful. I think they're doing this shit in spite to get some changes to the rules in the games.
I mean, they definitely need to play. Does it need to be a full game? We did talk about how they used to back in the day. They used to have the third game where there was the dress out game. Do they need to do the first quarter? Come out of halftime. Maybe not necessarily, but part of the reason we see so many injuries is because they don't get their bodies used to it. Part of the reason that we see these teams start slow, because biggest topic that's come out of it is basically because Michael Penix didn't play this past game. That's a lot of that's kind of why the conversation got back in it for the national media. Raheem Morris and the Falcon staff, a lot of them come from the Rams, and Sean McVay kind of does that their way, but the Rams did start off. I think they started off 1-0 last year, but the Rams aren't just notorious for being a great starting team. We also saw them get waxed by the Buffalo Bills in their opening game on banner night as well. So it's kind of like it depends. I don't a guy like a Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers. You don't. I would prefer them get out there because they're coming off an injury, but I can understand when you're like, I don't really want to risk that. But I do think they should try to take some hits because it is different going from like practice in a game is different. Getting hit and not getting hit is different. Like when you are, we see some of these practice videos and we get hyped because it's nice catches and stuff. But if you're actually paying attention, there's like 3 defensive ends that would have sacked your quarterback. It really probably would have also maybe got picked off. Like it's different. So like the clock is different in terms of quarterbacks internally. Then when you're having for teams that also are like, like Indy, who had a quarterback coming off an injury, he's in his second year. A team like the Houston Texans, these second-year quarterbacks, the Panthers, they should definitely get some type of burn, Or if you have a new coach coming in, new coordinators calling plays for the first time, defensive coordinators calling plays for the first time. It's all information. Like at the end of the day, it's all information. And why would you hinder yourself from collecting more information? I understand that injuries are going to happen. If the injury is going to happen in a game, it's probably going to happen in practice. So let's just go ahead, get it out, get the information that you need. So the guys got to get out there. That's how I feel. Got to get out there for some bit of it. Unless, like I said, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers. You can make it.
I'm with you. Before you go, Chris, I think, yeah, like you said, the Michael Penix conversation has been why this is kind of put on the forefront again. I will say this. I don't like the explanation that Raheem gave. Not necessarily. He makes it seem like, and it's kind of what you said, Shah, like practice is enough. And of course, we're not at the practices, but I'm assuming that no matter how much structure or unstructured you can get to a practice, you can't simulate a game. It just is what it is. You can't. Raheem said that they saw enough in his first 4 series against the Dolphins, and then of course the joint practices, and he's going against the ones in practice pretty much exclusively. So okay, cool, I get that. But my thing on the flip side is how much help is it going against third stringers, going against second, third stringers in preseason? So that's kind of his argument, but I don't like that concept of being practice being enough, because I don't ever think you can emulate practice. Emulate a game from practice. I just think it's not a thing. Kirk Cousins hasn't got hit once at all, and he's not going to get hit until it's fucking TJ Watt or Cam Hayward coming off the edge. And who knows how he's going to get up. He's 36. He's been around for a while. I don't see too many issues with it. But you want to get that shit going. You want to get out there, get it flowing, and it's just a difference. Like they had the scrimmage today, for instance. And
exactly. And you don't feel that it's game worthy, but you have a full practice dedicated to a scrimmage. Like
it's just interesting. It's interesting, but like I said, I really think this shit is purposeful. So go ahead, Chris. What are your
I
thoughts on it? I
mean,
know it's
I
the same.
get that. I get that what you're saying is purposeful. I mean, I feel like it's just, we came from another, like, growing, like you said, Shy, growing up watching football. You have 4 preseason games. You probably don't play no starters first or the fourth game. Second game, you might play them a series. Third game, dress series. But I feel like, it's necessary. Like, even for the Eagles, for instance, like, we have a whole new offensive coordinator.
Same thing we said last year, to a T.
Whole new offensive coordinator. You just had a terrible ending to your season. Like, at least get out for a series or two to see what it feels like. Okay, I'm calling Jalen. I'm calling this play, this, that, and the third. Like, I'm not asking for a whole half, but come on, man. Like a series, 2, maybe a quarter. Like, I don't know. And I get the injury, but again, it's 100% injury rate. You can't avoid it. Like,
Yeah,
you did all that for Aaron Rodgers last year. He got hurt first game. So, I mean, it's going to happen, but I don't know. I just feel like you should at least, and like you said, I know the standard is the Chiefs. I mean, Andy Reid's doing this. He's playing Patrick Mahomes, like, and he's not shying away from, like, no, we're going to play you until I feel like, okay, we good. We good to go.
Yeah. They say it's a copycat league until you don't want to do something.
It's like who are you copying at this point? Because I'm with you on that. The Falcons have 2 brand new coordinators that never called a game. At least y'all have coordinators that have been coordinators before. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We have 2 brand new ones. Go out there and script a drive if you're Zach Robinson with your starters, not just script a drive with Taylor Heineke. The fuck is that going to do?
That he's never going to get into a single game. You might not even keep the man. I know the emergency quarterback, third quarterback has come into play this year and stuff like that, but still,
Yeah, go out and script the drive with your starters. Get ahead, because that's how every game starts off anyway. You get a 15-play script, whatever it is, and you kind of just roll with that. You've never done that before. So go in. This is the time to do it, where you don't have to live with the consequences, you know what I mean, of the bad decisions. So it's interesting. We'll kind of see. I mean, it's really pointless to talk about now until the season starts, because they start off, so we'll see. But
and then that's the other thing. It's like you said, and not only it's information for the players, but it's information for the coordinators. But we talk so much about what do you do, for quarterbacks, specifically. What do they do after they get a hit? What do they do after they throw a turnover, throw an interception or fumble? But what do the play callers do as well? Because, you can see your quarterback throw an interception, and then all of a sudden you want to call 30 straight run plays. And, you basically fuck your quarterback's mentality up, like his confidence. The game's probably over if you're calling 30 run plays in a row. Either you're up or you're getting smacked, one or the other, at this point. So it's collecting information in that way as well. And then it's I don't know. And then, we always talk about this, not to this extent, but we have all played football. You guys know how it is to go against that same offense. I know this nigga about to call a screen. Let me just run over here already. I'm not even going to act like I'm a fake. I'm not going for that, because I already know the sequencing. I see how this receiver's run his route. I see how his alignment. He might not know that I'm picking up on it, but his alignment is telling me that this is going X, Y, Z. So when you're going against your own team, so I do like the joint practices, and we're seeing a lot more teams do that. But I think if that's the case, if they're trying to get rid of preseason, that's probably never going to happen. And I don't know if the players specifically want to get rid of preseason. Maybe the coaches do. I don't think the players
I don't think it's the players at all.
But then we just need to get rid of the mandatory OTAs, rookie minicamp, all that bullshit after the draft and right before the draft. That just needs to be eliminated. Why are you having your players have a 1-month check-in after the season ends? Just let them go for the summer, then maybe start training camp a week earlier or something. And that's the fix right there. So
yeah, that's possible.
But we'll see how it goes. Like you said, it doesn't matter. Everybody gets up in arms around this point in time. We're all antsy for some actual football. So I'm sure that goes a lot into some of these arguments. People just want to see these players play. So
I'm trying to see your starting offense going. Damn.
After all the talk, after all the additions, after all the talk, it's like
the weapons you pick up. You just want to see just once, just
let me see, just get a little taste.
Yeah, but definitely just want to see them play. But and it does. the flip side of it is when your starting offense does go out there and it's
And
two
they
drives
stink it
against
up.
the backups and it's 3 and out, you're like,
Hold on now.
hey, why didn't you sit them? Why didn't you sit
Hold
them?
up now.
I didn't need to see that.
Hold up now.
Hold
They're not ready yet.
They ain't looking right.
I don't like that. Hey, so.
Nah,
But, I
fact.
mean, last year the Steelers had, their first team offense was damn
They
near
were balling in
perfect.
the preseason last
So,
year. I remember that shit. Yeah, and then
You know, you can only take so much out of preseason. But like I said, it's information. It's information. Information needs to be collected. That's as big as this NFL. As big as the NFL is, as big as they feel like they need to go 7 months going through the same personnel for the draft. Like, why can't you collect information here? I don't understand. But whatever. But yeah, that gives us a wrap. Another episode of Speak Up. Man, we will catch y'all next week. Playoffs next week. Awards next week. Another week closer. We will probably see, we'll get cut down. So we'll probably start seeing some trades too. I think the Saints, I've been saying it all, Marshawn Lattimore, I've been saying it a lot. But I do really think, not to the Colts specifically, but Broncos, Giants, I think we can see it. I think we can see it in the next couple of weeks.
we just saw two Pro Bowlers, make shit shake last week. So who knows what will happen? But I can't wait to see y'all. I can't wait to see next week. I can't wait to see Shad. It seemed like you got like Bryce Young for MVP or some shit. I don't know. You gonna see? Shit.
I'm just saying, y'all just watched the Houston Texans go from worst to first and have a 7-game improvement with a quarterback that we all thought was worse than Bryce Young a year ago. I'm just saying.
No. I wouldn't say that. But okay.
We all thought it. We all thought Bryce Young was the number one.
We can actually roll back and take on that. The size was a big thing for me last year when we were talking about Bryce Young versus CJ.
Not going for that. Not going to go for the Bryce Young size shit, and then we're talking about Caleb Williams. Not doing that. Nope, not doing it.
He's still a full 3 inches and what? Caleb got a little more girth to him than
Caleb
Bryce.
Is like an inch taller than that name.
No, he is not. Caleb like 6 feet. Caleb like 6 foot. And Bryce Young like 5'10".
Caleb was like 5'11", and he was.
Nah, but he still got about like 30, 40 pounds.
About 30, 40 pounds, maybe like 10, 15.
Nah, Bryce Young weighed less than 200 on everything.
Bryce Young played at Alabama and was the best player by far in college football, and it wasn't close.
We're gonna see what he does. We're gonna see.
Just saying. We saw last year how we all thought Alabama was, and we all like, Alabama. I don't know about that.
I mean, I think that was more about who they had at.
My nigga, they almost lost to UCF. I am not going for USF. I'm sorry, USF. They almost lost to USF and we're losing to them basically the whole game. I'm not going for that. Who was out there? Alabama not supposed to lose to the USF.
Like I said, I think that was more about who they had at quarterback, not who they lost. But all right. Miller was not a quarterback. We're gonna
see. We're gonna see college football start this week. We're gonna see.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, man. That gives us a wrap. We'll catch y'all next week.
Yes, sir.
See you then.